Hello and welcome back to my channel. I'm Erin, I'm Queen Bee Tarot, and I've got horoscopes for you for the week ahead. We're looking at Mercury coming out of retrograde. The sun has just moved into Taurus, and we've got a wild and crazy full moon coming up on Tuesday. So stick around, I'm going to give you the general overview of what to expect for the collective right now as far as the energetic atmosphere, the astrology weather, so to say. And then I'm going to jump into individualized horoscopes for all 12 signs. You can find the timestamps below, and I'm really excited to share with you some good news finally. So we've come out of Aries season. The sun is officially in Taurus now, and because Aries is a fire sign, the first sign of the zodiac, ruled by the planet Mars, it's all about fire, action, do it now. There's an energy of impatience, but there's also an energy of spontaneous action. And because Mercury, representing what we think and how we speak, has been dancing with Venus, the planet of love and trust, the last few days it's been more of a like, okay, I can do this, right? Speaking words of love, voicing our affections, being a little bit more patient with our approach. While we've had this planetary party in Aries, patience has been the last thing available to us. It's been an extremely frustrating couple of weeks. We just came out of the eclipses, so it's definitely been wild and crazy. Now, Mercury is going to be retrograde until Thursday. And what we usually experience as it kind of finishes its backward motion, it'll then kind of appear to be stationed still, and then it will start moving forwards. So even in the next couple of weeks, you might have a sense that even if you're not experiencing the same obstacles and roadblocks as you were when it was retrograde, as it kind of turns and starts moving forwards, you just might find a corresponding energy that things are slow to get going, or you send a message and it takes the other person a really long time to get back to you, but at least things will be moving in a forward direction. Now, what's interesting about Mercury having been retrograde in Aries, like I was saying, Aries is a very like fire focused, do it now kind of energy, and Mercury, representing what we think and how we speak, being in Aries at all, has led to a lot of impatience in how we speak and impatience in what we think. And sometimes that impatience manifests as frustration with ourselves. Sometimes it manifests as frustration with other people or with life in general. But there's been this whole like, not just I'm frustrated, but I want to do something about it. When Mercury is retrograde, there's a sense of having to kind of go back over things or redo things. And so one of the things I wrote down is that Mercury retrograde has been a combination of moments of restraint. Maybe you started to send a huge text and you're like, never mind, and just delete it, right? Or maybe you were about to blow up at somebody and you're like, actually, it's not really worth it. I'm gonna look like the jerk here. Whatever your moments of restraint were, that was one of the amazing things about Mercury being retrograde in Aries. It's an opportunity to pause and think before we speak instead of just blurting something out that might burn somebody, right? And then the other side of it is moments of regret. Because there is that element of, whoops, I said the thing and I didn't really think about how it was going to land. Or I said the thing before coffee and I didn't have any filters or any patience. So thankfully, this energy is kind of wrapping up and coming to an end. And so now that the sun is in Taurus, that's the second sign of the zodiac. It's an earth sign represented by the bull. So there will be more of a theme of patience, but there's also going to be a theme of diligence. So Aries season was wild. Mercury retrograde, 2 eclipses. It has been a time of shakeups. Whether you had massive realizations or conversations that just like took a crazy turn and now there's a new path opening up for you. Maybe you made a split-second decision. Maybe you finally took action on a well thought out decision. It's definitely been a time of sweeping changes, transformation, upheaval, breakdowns, breakups, of course, depending on your personal experience, right? So the cool thing about the sun moving into Taurus, Mercury's coming out of retrograde, it's kind of like letting the dust settle. Now that we've had all these realizations, now that we've had all these awakenings or conversations or breakthroughs or whatever it is, what's next? we as humans have a tendency to fall back into a rut, to repeat patterns, to go back to what's comfortable, even if it's not healthy. And I think that was something I talked about last week as well, is that we are being given an opportunity to change our choices. That comes to a peak with the full moon this week, because I want to show you the chart for the full moon. Full moon's on Tuesday. The sun is in Taurus. The moon is going to be in Scorpio. So full moon is an opposition with the sun and moon on different spots. And then if you can imagine our perspective here on Earth being in the middle, there's a sense that, okay, so the sun represents our outer personality, like our character that we play, personally or professionally. It is how we come to know ourselves, but it's only a portion of who we are. It's just the part of us that other people see. And so the sun being opposite the moon brings a sense of being pulled in two directions. Is that version of me authentic? Or are my emotions being hidden? Is my true self being hidden? Do I have to mask up when I'm around people? And why wouldn't I be the most authentic version of me anyway? Would it be because I'm afraid of being judged, or I'm afraid that I won't be loved or accepted? And so this dynamic push and pull polarizes the grounded energy of Taurus, and a sense of like the sun being in Taurus is like, okay, well, this is how things have always been. This is who I've always been. This is how I've always acted, or this is how other people have always perceived me. But then the moon in Scorpio with this full moon on Tuesday is like, but that's not the real me. And how important is it to me to be seen as the real me? You know, I have many acquaintances and many friends, but I can only count on one hand how many people I actually fully be myself around. And that's the same for every human on the planet. We cannot be completely open with everyone, because that brings an unhealthy level of vulnerability, right? But at the same time, if we find in our lives that we're masking up or hiding authentic parts of ourselves, the most important question to ask is why? Do I not feel safe around my friends? Is there not safe space to have conversations about things that bug us? Or are we just doing this like surface level social dance? In some situations, that's fun. It's fun to have surface level friends, right? But this full moon is going to bring to your attention any ways in which you are not being your authentic self, and any ways in which that might make you feel comfortable. Now, if that's not an issue for you, absolutely, this influence could take a different form. What I wanted to show you is that it's not just about the full moon, but it's creating a very strong square. So a square in astrology is a 90-degree angle, and Pluto is the corner point. Pluto is the planetary ruler of Scorpio. So sometimes we will have moments of being like, well, it's okay that I'm kind of being fake in this moment because I'm not super invested in this relationship. Or maybe if I work in customer service, absolutely, I'm going to have a mask because all of me is not welcome in this professional setting, right? So certain times and places we intentionally choose for that to be the case, right? But what this is going to bring up is a question of whether or not those constraints exist in our personal relationships. And then the other thing that Pluto is going to be activating for us is a sense of whatever needs to be broken or attended to or loved or taken care of. So if you have a vehicle that's making a tick, 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 tick sound and you just turn the radio up, you're like, I can't afford to fix that right now. If we leave little problems for too long, they become a bigger problem down the road. And so all of a sudden, maybe you're driving down the road and boom, your engine blows. So that is the energy of this full moon creating a very strong square with Pluto. That which we have hidden, that which we have been running from or avoiding. It could be an external force. It could be something like genuinely not doing repairs on your vehicle or your house or something like that. Or one way that it could manifest for you is the repairs need to be done in here, or the repairs need to be done within your relationships. So the key theme this week is, what have you learned during Aries season? What sort of upheaval or transformation or changes have been initiated as a result of the eclipses? And am I being given a choice point right here? Do I finally take a look at things that are in need of attention, in need of being fixed? Or am I just going to go la, 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 and keep repeating patterns until something blows up? When we have a full moon square Pluto, this could be the blow up moment. This could be the time where if you have been avoiding problems personally, professionally, physically, whatever it is, this could be the blow up moment where things fully come to a head and you have no option other than to fix it, to heal it, to look at it, acknowledge it, whatever it is. So for some of us, this is going to be, it's good, I get it, okay, I'm putting my new choices into practice. And then for other people, it's going to be, holy crap, I can't avoid this anymore. So it's always a personal thing. You know, astrology only shows potential. It's a beautiful day outside. There's lots of potential. There's potential for a picnic. Whether or not I choose to go for a picnic is free will. So I do want to make sure that all of you viewers understand astrology is only potential. It is not going to direct your life. It is not going to make anything happen that you don't, you know what I mean? Like, we have free will. We have free will as human beings. We can continue to ignore things as long as we want, or we can face them right away and deal with them and kind of nip that problem in the bud. It's entirely up to us. So as Mercury retrograde finishes, there is that sense of kind of like unit review. What have we learned? How can I put it into practice? Some people refer to it as feeling like they've been tested. You know, that is something that's been circling around like religious or spiritual communities, feeling as though the universe or God is testing us. On a karmic level, we will often find that we will repeat lessons until we figure out the answer. But I do want to assure you guys, no one is ever being intentionally punished by their higher power, because our higher powers, universe, force, whatever you want to call it, is a benevolent, loving being. So we're never being punished. But this is the era of fuck around and find out. If something happens, we can't go, oh, it's that person's fault. Oh, it's society's fault. Oh, blah, blah, blah. There is a certain point at which we have to go, how could this possibly partly be my fault, or maybe even completely my fault? We will experience the most challenges during this period if we refuse to take accountability. That is when things are going to blow up in our faces and get really, really hard, forcing us to deal with them. But if we are able to say, you know what? I can own that. I was definitely a part of that. I definitely screwed that up, or I definitely made a bad choice there. Not only does that apology, that acknowledgement sort things out in the moment, but it also gives us that exit door where we can say, okay, I'm going to make a different choice next time. I'm going to try harder next time. Don't expect perfection, okay? Just expect progress, positive progress. If you're doing this much better than you were yesterday, celebrate that, right? None of us can actually ever be perfect, and none of us are getting out of here alive. So we got to make the most of the time that we have, right? And lying to ourselves, lying to other people, creating these worlds of illusion. The most annoying thing in the whole world is having to argue about reality. If you find yourself in a situation personally or professionally where you're arguing about reality, red flag. And that's what's coming to a head this week. Now, the really cool thing is that Mercury going direct on Thursday, the 25th, is going to also be supported by a whole bunch of planetary angles. The moon is going to be opposite Jupiter and Uranus, really bringing our emotional attention to whatever comes to a peak this weekend before the full moon. And then kind of like a recap, like I was saying, like a unit review kind of feeling to this week. And then the other thing is that the moon is going to be forming a harmonious trine to Mars and Neptune. So we are going to get another little bit of a turbo boost on Thursday. As Mercury goes direct, we're also going to feel inspired to do better, to act better, to be the change that we wish to see. If you find yourself in any kind of situation, personal or professional, where a repeating pattern keeps happening over and over, and nobody else is showing signs of change or acknowledgement or anything like that, don't waste your time being like, they need to change, this sucks, blah, blah, blah. Remove yourself. This is all about personal accountability. This is all about either we choose it or we change it. There's no in between. So no more blaming things on other people when there is some sort of choice point that could give you the exit door that you need. I hope that makes sense. I love you guys. It's going to be a little bit of tough love sometimes, but I'm always going to be 110% honest with you, because if I was like, oh, it's going to be great, you know what I mean? You're not going to get anything out of your horoscopes, right? So I'm going to present these with love, with affection, but also like, let's be tough. Let's get through this. Let's be honest. Let's be accountable, and let's walk our highest paths. A little bit of discomfort in the moment as we acknowledge the problems, as we take responsibility, as we think about what potentially is out of sorts, what potentially needs to be fixed before it blows up. A little bit of discomfort in the present moment creates potentially a lifetime of smooth sailing or peace or something like that. So don't be afraid of discomfort in the moment. Avoiding discomfort actually compounds it and makes it so much worse. So just bite the bullet, rip the Band-Aid off, get her done. This is a week to make some serious changes and put it into practice. So, full moon horoscopes, full moon in Scorpio, sun is in Taurus. I'm going to be doing our horoscopes as usual for sun and rising signs. I would encourage you, if you don't know your rising sign, all you need to know is what time you were born. My favorite website is astro.com. You can easily get your rising sign from there. Or if you want, comment below. I'll help you figure it out. Your rising sign is so important because then it tells us what house things are happening in. When we do astrology charts, what we've got is this circle divided into pie slices. Each pie slice is called a house. That tells us exactly what specific area of your life these changes are going to be happening in. We've got massive breakthroughs happening. I'm going to start with Aries, sun and rising. The full moon for you guys, Aries, sun and rising, is happening, the moon in Scorpio is in your 8th house, ruled by Scorpio, and the sun is going to be in Taurus in your 2nd house. The 8th and 2nd houses are all about money. The 8th house is more like hidden money or shared money, like debt, taxes, inheritances, things like that. And the 2nd house is the money that's like right in front of us. The things that we've manifested, the resources, the abundance, the materials, our physical surroundings, right? And so when we have a full moon, I was going to say a horoscope, but a full moon activating your 8th and 2nd houses, what our attention is being brought to is almost like the physical and metaphysical aspects of themes of abundance versus scarcity. So this full moon is going to activate for you any deep feelings, any pre-programming, any core beliefs around abundance versus scarcity. Your emotions may cause you to feel really deep, really reflective, really serious about any kind of repeating patterns in this regard. And then the sun shining a light on, you're going to have a moment of being like, oh, you know what, actually, it's not that bad. This full moon is an amazing opportunity to practice an attitude of gratitude. And honestly, if you had told me that years ago when I was in a really grumpy, not happy place, I would have been like, don't tell me to be grateful. My life sucks. But there's always something to be grateful for. Even if I was living in a cardboard box, I could say I'm really grateful for a cardboard box and I'm not sitting on a straight up sidewalk. Like there's always something. And it feels yucky when we're struggling, when we're suffering, when we are genuinely experiencing hardship and lack. But what I've learned is if you hold feelings of anger and resentment in your heart, it has an effect on your immediate physical environment. When you're a grumpy person, people don't want to hire you, and then you are jobless for a way longer time. If you can have a positive attitude, it's not about toxic positivity. It's not about being like, oh, everything's awesome. No. You can be like, today really, really sucks, but I'm so glad that the sun is out. I can just spice it up a little bit with gratitude, right? So what we're seeing for you guys, Aries, sun and rising, is that dynamic of what is your metaphysical relationship to your physical environment. You could have themes of money, debt, taxes, inheritances be coming up, or you could be thinking about whether or not you are being valued as an individual. Something else that might be coming up for you right now is whether or not you are being paid what you're worth, or whether or not it feels as though the people, the professionals in your life truly value your input. So if you have reflections this week that are more along the lines of, I work hard, I pour all of my life and love and energy into this situation, I get nothing out of it, then this week could be that peak of being like, I'm done. I don't want to keep throwing my energy into this black hole. I don't want to keep working for someone who doesn't value me. So depending on your situation, these are the themes that are going to be coming up for you. And full moons represent a time of emotional upheaval where we go, enough's enough. So whatever your enough's enough moment is going to be this week, please do keep in mind that sometimes our emotions will trick us into thinking that things are way worse than they actually are. So if something comes up for you, take notes and then really think it through and maybe reconsider in a less emotional moment, just to double check that you're still on that same page, right? But everything that comes up for you right now is going to be valid in one form or another. It's just about putting things into perspective. So the full moon is going to be creating a really strong square to Pluto, activating that shadow, whether it's resentment, whether it's anger, whether it's frustration, or feeling like life is against you. The upheaval, the emotional upheaval you're going to experience with this full moon is all going to be directing you towards values, validating what your value system is, making sure that the people around you share that value system. And if you feel out of place, if you feel like you're surrounded by people who are just not on the same page as you, then this would be a springboard into, okay, going where I'm appreciated, going where people really want me, going where I am valued, getting a new situation in which I am compensated fairly and appropriately for my time, my energy, my expertise, whatever it is. So definitely moments of awakening and awareness. You do have an opportunity to make some solid breakthroughs when it comes to manifesting money, manifesting abundance, manifesting situations in which you are being more than fairly compensated. But you have to make sure that your eyes are open and your heart is open and you are ready to receive, because that's where the gratitude comes in. If we're like this, we're closed off. Energetically, nobody's able to help me. Physically, nobody's able to help me. And like I said, I'm not going to get a better job if I'm like, right? So definitely check your own vibe, but validate your emotions. Don't stuff them away. Everything you're seeing and feeling and experiencing is real. Make sure to use it, but don't lose it, right? Mwah. I hope you guys have a wonderful week. Definitely like and follow if you enjoyed your horoscope, and I'll see you next time. Taurus, sun and rising. We have a full moon this week that is activating your sign and your opposite sign, which is Scorpio. Happy birthday, by the way, all the Tauruses out there. The full moon is going to be in your 7th house. And when the moon is in our 7th house, it's almost a sense that like the people closest to us appear to be really spicy or really emotional or really intense. When the moon is in Scorpio at all, it's a very like profoundly intense emotional experience. Peaks and waves and like almost like a full body experience that we like feel our emotions physically kind of thing. So with the moon in your 7th house and then the sun in your 1st house, it's actually a really positive balance, because instead of feeling overwhelmed by the intensity of other people, this is actually going to be a situation in which you kind of appreciate it. Reason I say that is because what's coming through for you guys this week is an opportunity to have deep and profound connections. Maybe you connect with somebody that you feel really safe with. It could be a new friend, an old friend, anything like that. But what's on the table is some really profound, deep conversations. Maybe about intense emotions, maybe about intense life experiences, maybe about life, death, and rebirth, or karma, or everything in between. But really hitting some wild topics. And what's supporting it is that you are not going to shrink away from somebody else's intensity. You're going to be like, oh, I'm right there with you. Let's work through this, right? You're going to actually appreciate it. And what comes through in these conversations could be incredibly transformational for everyone involved. So don't be afraid to share how you really feel or say what you really think. Of course, being mindful of the present company that you're in. But really, really cool. I mean, what's coming through is an opportunity to have these profound conversations within trusted company, right? But sometimes you can have a profound conversation with a stranger at the bus stop. So you never know. Stay open. The full moon is creating a very strong square, which is a challenging angle, to Pluto, which is in your 10th house. So there is a sense of almost like gathering this emotional, deep conversational opportunity in order to get really clear about the path that you're walking. You might think about the future and have fears, you might have doubts, you might have absolutely no clue what to expect. Whatever your perspective is about the future, these emotional conversations and interactions are going to help you get more clear. Even if you don't necessarily figure everything out, you're going to have an opportunity to have your emotions validated, to have a really productive conversation, maybe just to feel supported or encouraged. But best case scenario, somebody could help you make a breakthrough or see your situation in a way that makes you go, oh my God, okay, now I know what to do. So definitely don't shy away from, like, there's a lot of circles like, I live in BC. I know a lot of these things are cultural, but like there's a lot of circles where I live where, especially in the new age communities, where people are like, don't talk about negative stuff. That's toxic positivity. And obviously not everybody that you're friends with or that you work with is going to want to have like deep and profound conversations. But what I want to say is, please don't hold yourself back. Sometimes we hold ourselves back because we're like, ooh, that's a really intense emotion, and what if other people don't have those emotions? Or what if I share this and this is overwhelming to somebody? You can always do a super respectful vibe check or test the waters and be like, is it okay if I talk about this with you? Do you have the heart space to do this right now? You know, is it okay if we approach this conversation right now? You know, and then your friends might be like, actually, I'm kind of in a meeting right now, but let's chat after work. Yes, I want to hold space for you. So that's what I mean. Don't be afraid to talk about things that are on your mind. Don't be afraid to delve into some deep and maybe intense subjects, because you do have an opportunity to reach clarity on some level as far as your path moving forwards. So really cool opportunities. Free your mind and the rest will follow. If you enjoyed your horoscopes, please do like and subscribe, or even share this video, and I will definitely see you next time. Have a great week. Gemini, sun and rising. This week we have a full moon activating Taurus and Scorpio axis. So it's going to be a bit of intensity, but also a grounding energy that kind of balances it out. And the moon itself is going to be in your 6th house of health, daily activities, maybe work, maybe the habits that you have, kind of that like everyday experience. That's the 6th house. But with the moon being full in Scorpio in your 6th house, what might come up for you is a really intense emotional response around themes at work or around themes of health, maybe even mental health as well. So this could be a week where maybe you've been holding back. You've been like, I'm fine, I'm fine. This could be the week where you're like, I'm not fine. Let the tears flow. Let it come out, because when we stuff our feelings, it can really compact on an energetic level and eventually turn into disease. So let those tears flow. If you have emotions around your work situation or around your health or around your day-to-day life, let it come out. This is the opportunity. And what's balancing it out is that the sun is in Taurus. The sun is in your 12th house of mystery, the hidden and unknown, secrets, subconscious, but also intuition and dreams. So what could be really stressing you out right now is a sense that there is mystery around how things are going to turn out. Maybe you have fear around the unknown. Sometimes when we have these like random like twitches in our bodies or pains or things like that, and we look it up on Google and we are like, oh my God, I'm definitely dying of like the worst form of cancer. You know what I mean? We can get it into our heads something is like way, way worse than it actually is. That's the energy this week for you guys, of really feeling overwhelmed because of fear, because of something being unknown or unclear or mysterious to you. And so this full moon is going to lead to what could possibly be a huge emotional breakthrough where the floodgates finally burst. But you know, there's an opportunity for you to get it out on the table and then maybe find out it's not bad at all, right? If we avoid clarity, we prolong the fear and the anxiety. So as much as you can, throw yourself into clarity. Pursue any opportunity to solve the mystery, alleviate your fears and your worries and your anxiety. Reach out so that you're not isolated. Even if a friend doesn't have all the answers, they'll be like, let's go out for coffee, right? Or do something to support you through your experience. With this full moon is creating a very strong square to Pluto, which is darkness, mystery, shadow, fear, a lot of other heavy themes like that. And this square is happening in your 9th house of headspace and beliefs. So there's something really huge that has either been stuck in your head or locked in your head or causing you a great deal of unconscious or subconscious anxiety, fear, depression, something like that. And this could potentially be a very emotional week for you. But in order to make the breakthrough that you need or get the clarity that you need or the support that you need, there is going to be an element of letting it out. Just let it out, lay it out on the table, and then something can be done about it. Then you can find out, no, you're not actually dying. You know what I mean? Like looking up your symptoms on Google is so terrifying sometimes. Definitely avoid going down that rabbit hole, right? So yeah, there are breakthroughs possible to give you clarity. All I can do is encourage you to don't isolate. Don't isolate yourself because it is going to make it worse. So good luck this week, you guys. I hope you find the clarity and the breakthroughs that you're looking for. And if you enjoyed your horoscope, please do make sure to like and subscribe so that you're kept up to date with all of my videos. Thanks for being here, and I'll see you next time. Cancer, Sun and Rising. Cancer, Sun and Rising. You guys are going to be really positively affected by this full moon this week. And the reason is because the full moon in Scorpio is another water sign like yourself. So you're going to be like, oh, this is my vibe. It could possibly be intense, but there is what's being activated for you guys is your 5th and 11th houses. So the sun is in your 11th house, shining a light on all that makes life awesome for you. It could be music, it could be art, it could be feeling like you belong to something, it could be a sense that you are doing something meaningful in your life. But the 11th house is about transcendental experiences. All these things that make life the richer. Creativity, looking out for others, feeling like we're part of something bigger, and idealism, like a form of idealism in which we are willing to take action to back up our beliefs. So not only am I going to say, you know, disadvantaged people need to be supported, I'm going to take action on that. I'm going to volunteer. I'm going to work with a charity. I'm going to vote politically to support people who need it, right? So you may find yourself being inspired to create art, to do something like social activism or charity work or something like that. It's going to be this like really intense, life is beautiful, the universe is magical and mysterious, and just wanting to allow that ethereal energy to move through your body. Maybe playing, maybe unleashing your inner child and having a dance party in the kitchen, whatever it is. And the moon being in your 5th house is going to be stirring up any feelings related to your inner child. Maybe you're going to be like, oh, I miss doing this that I used to do when I was a kid. Or you might be thinking about how maybe your inner child needs some help. You might be thinking about how maybe you had a hard childhood and now you have the opportunity to make choices that help you feel safe and loved. lots of deep reflections, but there's such an energy of joy and positivity and hope around it that even if intense, heavy stuff comes up for you, you're going to have the opportunity to work with it in a way that's not overwhelming. It's positive and productive in some form. The full moon is creating a very challenging square to Pluto, which is going to bring that twinge of life is short. There is that element of feeling powerless in the grand scheme of things, but also like a deep level of calm. Like having those moments of being like, I'm going to make really healthy choices today so that no matter what happens, I feel like I had a life well lived. You know what I mean? I'm going to use that good china. I'm going to dance in the rain. I'm going to create that song that I've been thinking about every single day that I'm at work, but I keep putting it off and putting it off. I'm going to do that art. I'm going to join that soccer team, whatever it is for you, right? Having those moments of being like, yeah, life is short. Yeah, unexpected things can happen. So let's go have some fun. Let's go talk about how much we love our friends. Let's go random acts of kindness, or, you know what I mean? Funky and free, and just making the most of the time that we have. So with Pluto being in your 8th house, instead of feeling like you have been burned up, which has been kind of the Aries experience, now you're in the regenerative phoenix form, where you are being birthed again, but in a way that is so dynamic and so present and so fiery, but with love, with passion. Beautiful intensity. You have an opportunity this week to make meaningful connections, to come out of your shell, to flourish and blossom, and you might go back to your blanket fort next week, but that's okay. This is going to be an awesome week to feel like maybe you took all these emotions inside of you and you wrote an epic poem, or you painted a painting that reflects how you feel, and in the process of painting that painting, you were able to heal some form of yourself. So like art therapy, music therapy, really cool potential to be able to take any darkness that you've been experiencing it and alchemize it into something either beautiful or shareable, or really, really, really neat moments coming through for you guys this week. So definitely allow yourself to flow with your emotions freely. As we approach the full moon, so like Sunday, Monday, you might have moments of being like, oh, this is too much. But don't worry, as the full moon comes, you're going to be like, I am at peace with what comes out. Huge creative potential this week. I hope you guys have an amazing week. If you enjoyed your horoscope, please do like and follow and share and subscribe. Thank you so much for being here, and I will see you next time. Leo, sun and rising. We have a full moon this week that is going to be activating your 4th and 10th houses. So in astrology, that's kind of like the top and bottom point in your chart. The bottom point is the foundation from which we grow and flourish. It represents the need for emotional safety, food, shelter, water, but really, really, really emotional safety. And the 10th house is how we expand, how we extend ourselves. Career, future plans, you know what I mean? We cannot expand and flourish and grow and plan for the future if we don't have a solid, healthy, safe foundation to grow from. So that is what's going to be brought to your attention this week, is that polarization of like either stop, go, or do I have enough fuel, metaphorically, to do this journey that I want to do. With the full moon in Scorpio, emotional intensity is definitely the theme. And having that happen in your 4th house of emotions may really kind of cause you to, maybe you want to isolate, maybe you want to be by yourself, not talk to anybody, not socialize, anything like that. But sometimes those moments are good, so that you can retreat and reflect and process whatever it is that's coming up for you. Now, the idea is to recharge so you can come back out. If you find that you're isolating for weeks at a time, that ends up being a bit of a mental health red flag and a really important opportunity to reach out for support, right? But every now and then to isolate and really just take time for yourself, it's needed and it's important and it is healthy. So There is going to be a dynamic because Pluto has been in your 7th house, bringing intensity and power plays to all of your relationships, personal and professional. You may find that without even meaning to, you seem to make enemies everywhere. And it is all about a perception. You know, we just play these games with other humans. The perception of power, the perception of aggression. Even if you don't mean to, people could be picking up on a tone in your voice or a way that you're approaching something or something like that. And as Pluto has been moving through your 7th house, sometimes the initial response is, well, I want them to see my way. I want to approach this and resolve this and talk about this and blah, you know, you try and like meet the other person and convince them of your perspective, which is actually not conducive to a smooth outcome. What this full moon and this week is bringing your attention to is when and where it's just not worth it. Some, you know, 99% of humans out there are just going to see whatever they want to see. And it's a really hard thing to do, but it is a mark of maturity and wisdom to go, you know what? They can think whatever they want to think. I don't need to convince them of anything. But that only works when you don't have to be side by side with someone. If you have to be side by side with someone, then there's a need for resolution, right? So you're having to kind of tread that line lately and figure out, okay, which battles are worth fighting, which ones are definitely not. And this week is going to kind of just bring all that into your face. As, you know, you have some really deep and potentially emotional thoughts around healthy relationships, toxic relationships, the friends that you had, the friends that you have now, the friends that you want to have moving forwards. So really a lot of deep thoughts around the connections that you have in your life and whether or not you feel emotionally safe in that context. The Jupiter-Uranus conjunction that happened on Saturday offered you a breakthrough as far as setting your own goals. If you want to make plans, make your own plans. You know what I mean? I used to always say plans that depend on other people are really not plans at all. And you might be coming to some sort of similar conclusion. Maybe you're deciding to do something alone. Maybe you're deciding to give up on somebody or walk away from a dynamic that is just not working out. There could be some really challenging, hard decisions for you to make this week. Your emotions are going to be an amazing compass telling you whether or not something feels safe. But do be wary of the perspectives or the stories that you tell yourself, because that's where you might be led astray. So as much as you can, return to the feeling, simplify your experience. Don't get too complicated with words and stories. Feel your way through and make whatever choices help you feel light. You know what I mean? We spend time with some people and we're like, oh man, I feel great around you. And then other people were like, oh, you're just sucking the life out of me, right? We can identify that by a simple feeling. Yes or no. Do I feel good? Yes or no, right? Do I feel rejuvenated? Yes or no. When we start to attach a story, well, but that's where we get lost. So simplify things. Trust your heart, take whatever time and space that you need to reflect and process your experience. And then on the other side of this week, as we approach next weekend, you should have a solid sense of where you're going with less of that emotional baggage holding you back. So I hope you guys have an amazing week. If you enjoyed your horoscopes, definitely please like and share and subscribe if you like it. That way you can stay up to date with all my videos. Sorry, I'm like tripping over my words. Thank you so much for being here, and I'll see you next time. Virgo, sun and rising. The full moon in Scorpio this week is going to be activating your 9th and 3rd houses. Now, the 9th house is what we believe, and the 3rd house is what we speak. And what we say and what we speak and then what we do can be entirely different things. And you may find that you're really tuning into people who say what they mean and mean what they say, and then feeling like nails on a chalkboard around people who are like, oh, blah, 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 but they have zero follow through showing that that's what they really mean or that's what they really feel. Do you know what I mean? And that Virgo, whether you're a Virgo sun or a Virgo rising, you definitely have that superpower of noticing. You definitely have that built-in bullshit detector, right? And that's what's going to be activated for you this week. Now the problem is going to be sorting out whether or not what you're really picking up on is intuition or insight, or is it a preconceived notion based on an outside perspective, you know, judging a book by its cover kind of thing, or judging people based on, like, if I had bad experiences with particular people and then I meet somebody new and I judge them based on the previous people, that's not always appropriate. You know what I mean? Sometimes, but not always. So with the moon in Scorpio in your third house, it is an opportunity this week to have potentially some no bullshit conversations. You know what I mean? Sometimes because of social constructs, or we're tiptoeing, or maybe we don't feel safe in relationships, we don't always say everything that needs to be said. This Tuesday, you're going to be very, very tempted to say everything that you think needs to be said. But it's going to be really important that you think about your words before you speak. Because if you come off as this like, no, I know this and I've seen this, you might actually be called out for it. So it's all about treading a really fine line between validating your experience, but not crossing over into being a judgmental person, right? Fine line. So definitely intense conversations this week. Definitely getting to the bottom of something, getting to the truth of something, having conversations that lead to clarity, lead to understanding, lead to breakthroughs. And with the sun in Taurus right now in your 9th house, Taurus is a fixed earth sign. Taurus can be extremely stubborn and stuck in its ways. And with the sun in Taurus in your 9th house of what you believe, there is a suggestion that you might be quite stubborn and stuck in your ways as far as what you believe or how you perceive the world around you. The best thing you can possibly do this week is question everything, including questioning yourself, because you might find a crack somewhere where you're like, oh, wait a minute, maybe things aren't the way they seem. If you find out that in the end you were 100% correct, awesome, but at least you did the research first. You know what I mean? Please, please, please question everything. Please do not jump out of your chair to be judgmental towards somebody else. It is going to bite you in the butt. But this is an amazing opportunity on the flip side of that to notice your progress, to notice how healthy you are, to notice when and where you're being far less judgmental than you used to be, to notice when and where you do have safe space to have some real conversations with people, and then being really, really grateful for those people in your life, that you genuinely can be the full authentic version of yourself. Those people are priceless and rare. Lovely, lovely people to feel like you can be the real you around. So that's kind of the theme, being around people you can feel real with, having some really awesome but really intense conversations with those safe people. And then with the full moon creating this opposition with your 9th and 3rd houses, Pluto is creating this square like an anchor down at your 6th house, indicating that there is a possibility of repeating patterns. There is a possibility of mental health issues that need to be discussed. There is a possibility of perhaps physical health issues that need to be discussed. And there's a really high level of importance when it comes to acknowledging a shadow, doing shadow work, healing shadow work, and approaching with love and compassion and care. So healing yourself is always going to be an ongoing process. It's never like, oh, I crossed the finish line, now I get my, ribbon. It doesn't work like that. Healing is always going to be an ongoing process, but this week is going to bring your attention to how you've already healed, what still yet needs to be healed, and how you can potentially be a healing influence for those people around you, or maybe celebrating the fact that you have healing influences around you that helped you on your path. So that interconnected system. So yeah, there was a really awesome, really rare conjunction of Jupiter and Uranus in your 9th house on Saturday, so just yesterday. And so that process of kind of having awakenings or seeing things differently or starting to question things, it's already started to come. Please don't ever run from the truth. It might piss you off, but it's definitely going to set you free. So dive in head first, work for clarity, be the kind of person who makes people feel safe, so that there is an energy of clarity and safety, and you will find the answers that you're looking for. I hope you guys have an amazing week. If you enjoyed your horoscopes, please like and share and subscribe, and you'll stay up to date with all of the videos that I make. Thank you so much for being here. I'll see you next time. Libra, sun and rising. The full moon in Scorpio this week could be pretty intense because there's going to be that theme of like, what's that joke? There's only two things guaranteed in life, death and taxes. That's gonna be kind of your level of awareness this week. It might be like dark humor. It might be really, really serious topics about serious things. But the reason for this is because full moon in Taurus is activating your 2nd and 8th houses. Taurus rules the 2nd house. Scorpio rules the 8th house. So, and they're in each other's houses for you. I know that sounds kind of complicated, but yeah, Taurus rules the 2nd house. For you, that's your 8th house. Scorpio rules the 8th house, but for you, that's your 2nd house. The 2nd house is all about the resources and the finances that we have right here in front of us, our physical environment. Proof of the energy that we've put into things, right? Not always proof. I mean, geez, a lot of people work really hard for nothing. But that's a conversation for another day. You may be thinking about income inequality. You may be thinking about wage gaps. You may be thinking about all that is wrong in the world with CEO bonuses and people who work really hard for minimum wage. You might find yourself getting angry. You might find yourself being like, these things happen, right? But whatever intense emotions come up for you this week, that's going to be the theme. Life, death, and rebirth, money, taxes, and debt. So when we have a full moon, not only is it a time of emotional upheaval, but it brings us to a place of understanding, but also potentially conclusions. Sometimes what happens around a full moon is that we reach an emotional place where we're like, okay, this needs to end, therefore starting a conclusion. Or sometimes what happens during a full moon is that the conclusion itself actually happens. One way or another, you're going to have emotions that lead you towards a desired goal or outcome or closure. Now, sometimes when we're really struggling with debt and we don't see any way out, it may seem counterintuitive to give up, but bankruptcy can be a relief. Or maybe it's an opportunity for you to rethink your expenses, eliminate some expenses, live simply, or maybe it's time to rebel against the government. Who knows? Any one of those things could be appropriate. As you have these emotional experiences, though, the advice that I would have is, as much as you can, try and rise above. Because you are going to be emotionally sucked into all the details and all the different things that are like stressing you out and making you mad. But the energy you need to embody to be able to survive this and get the most out of it, we don't want to avoid it, but we want to see the bigger picture. How can I rise above? How can I find connecting dots? How can I find common threads? How can I examine my choices in the past and see whether or not, on an empirical scientific level, are those choices working out? No, let's change our choices. Because we can't keep doing the same thing and expecting different results, right? Doesn't work that way. So as much as you can, try and kind of detach, just in the sense that you're able to get a clearer perspective of the bigger picture, because what's going to happen is if you get too lost in the details, you're going to get emotionally overwhelmed. You might be thinking about how you're late to file your taxes or things like that, but his energy of intensity is being challenged by a square to Pluto, and Pluto's in your 5th house. So you might have moments of being like, F this, I don't want to do my taxes, I want to go out and play. Or you might have moments of being like, F my life, I never have a chance to play. So I just want to give you a heads up and a warning. Expect really strong emotions around those themes this week. Please, as much as you can, take breaks, go play. Watch a show that makes you laugh. Go play soccer in the road with your neighbors. Like, everybody deserves a break. And please also remember that how much money you make is not a reflection of your worth as an individual, not by any stretch of the imagination. Income inequality, like all of this is like, the struggle is real. It's ridiculous how this world is. Like corporations and capitalism, it's a freaking joke, and the average person is suffering. So I just want to validate that for you, okay? If you're having these angry angry feelings, right? But when we get too worked up about it, we also have those moments of feeling powerless, and then it almost like sucks the life out of us, and we're just like, ugh, everything's gonna suck. Everything's always gonna suck. And feeling defeated is no way to go. Your observations are valid. Your feelings are valid. I'm here to validate that for you, right? But we also have to pick ourselves up. We also have to say, what does my heart need right now? Maybe I need to go get a soft serve ice cream cone. You know what I mean? Like whenever it is, right? So please do treat yourself. Please do take any and all opportunities to laugh, to shake it off, to have a bitch fest with a friend and be like, yeah, that sucks. Yeah, I hear you, girl. You know, whatever it is, right? Because you may feel as though you're drowning this week, and that would not be helpful. This is an opportunity to see what needs to be changed, claim your power when and where you can, and let the rest go. Sending you guys all of my love. If you enjoyed your horoscopes, please do like and subscribe and share if you feel so inclined. Thank you so much for being here, and I will see you next time. Scorpio, sun and rising, full moon this week in your sign. You're going to feel supercharged, like, wow. And maybe you might feel as though you're having all these incredible downloads. Maybe you're feeling like you're just incredibly psychic, or maybe you're just feeling like this wild and crazy ball of energy and emotions. Could be any of those or something else I didn't even mention. But as you experience a deep level of feeling supercharged, feeling extra emotional, feeling super tuned in, it's also going to be really, really important to you that the people who are around you in those moments are not shallow or checked out or superficial or any of that. The amount of real that you're going to feel this week, you're going to need other people around you to either match that, support that, hold space for that, or reflect that, right? No tolerance for fake people this week. On the other hand, though, with the people that you love within the context of trusted company, you have an opportunity to kind of bounce some ideas off. You could talk about some really cool, really intense, really profound subjects. You can have some incredibly eye-opening and awakening realizations in the context of these close connections. So you might feel like isolating. If that's what you need in the moment, you do you. But do keep in mind, your feelings matter. And not only do you need people to hold space for you, but the people in your life want that too. So if you feel so inclined, this would be a great week to share some time, share some energy, share some laughs or some deep conversations so that you can work through some of the stuff that's coming up for you. Because sometimes when we experience these huge emotions or energetic like vibrations, we don't even necessarily know how to put it into words, which can lead to feeling overwhelmed. But if we're able to kind of talk it out, or and maybe even just shoot some pool or something like that, and have a moment of being like, okay, then we can get it off our chest, then it feels way less overwhelming. And then hopefully, ideally, after such a contact, after such a connection, we'll feel lighter, we'll feel better. It doesn't necessarily mean all our problems are solved, but problems shared are problems halved, as in it reduces the intensity. So this full moon is going to be definitely bringing up a lot of intensity, especially in the context of your one-on-one connections, personal or professional, the people that you see and interact with the most. But creating a really strong square, which is a challenging angle to this full moon, is Pluto, your planetary ruler, in your 4th house of home, family, and emotional roots. So you may have moments of being like, wow, I'm so grateful that I found my people because I didn't when I was a kid. Or you might be thinking, I'm so glad that I have people in my life that share the same dark sense of humor or share the same emotional intensity. It is going to be such a huge priority for you this week to feel as though you are safe in trusted company in all ends of your emotional and energetic spectrum. So again, no superficial people, no tolerance for fakeness. You're really going to want to like zero in on those friends that are like, let's talk about everything, right? Let's go sit by the ocean and talk about life, the universe, and everything, whatever it is. And as you redefine your relationships, as you have been for the past little while, you have opportunities to make breakthroughs where maybe you realize that someone is there for you more than you really knew. Or maybe you realize that somebody you used to feel safe with isn't really somebody you want to talk to anymore. You're the kind of person that when you establish connections, ideally you would want them forever, but unfortunately that's not always the case. You might be thinking about the reason, season, or lifetime friends. Some people come into our lives for a reason, some for a season, some for a lifetime. Can't get categories mixed up. Can't expect reason people to be around for a lifetime. You know what I mean? So you might be having moments of being like, oh, maybe that's not a lifetime person. You know what I mean? Or maybe you have a reason person where it's like, this is the one person I call when I need to have a super serious conversation. But yeah, being able to take a step back and have reasonable expectations for the people in your life, and then feeling really, really drawn to the people that hold space for you the most. That's the theme this week. So just remember, your feelings matter, and the feelings of the people in your life matter. And creating and maintaining that emotional safety is the ticket, is the key to these healthy relationships moving forwards. So I hope you guys have an amazing week. Thank you for being here. If you enjoyed your horoscopes, please do like and subscribe so you're kept up to date with all my videos. And I'll see you next time. Mwah. Sagittarius, sun and rising. The full moon this week is in Scorpio. So the moon is in Scorpio, which is in your 12th house, which is dreams, subconscious, intuition, sometimes secrets and hidden things. And then the sun, creating an opposite point, is in your 6th house of health, habits, and daily routines. So you may have an emotional moment of being worried about, or there being mystery or fear around something that affects your day-to-day life. Now this could be having some sort of mystery symptom come up, and then you look it up on Google and you're like, oh my God, I'm dying. Please be aware that anything that feels mysterious or unclear or hidden or secret this week is going to really trigger you. You are going to have such a profound need for clarity that if you pick up on a vibe, if you don't clarify that vibe with the person who's putting it off, you're going to be thinking about it for the rest of the week and you're going to be like tripping. So definitely work for clarity. If you are picking up on emotions, if you're having intuitions, pay attention to them. Acknowledge your own emotions and intuition. Validate your experiences. If you have a gut feeling about something, don't talk yourself out of it. Listen to that gut feeling. Because with the full moon in Scorpio in your 12th house, your intuition is going to be really strong. Maybe your dreams are going to be super, super wild and like maybe even prophetic. Maybe it's going to predict things that happen for you. Keep a dream journal by your bed. If you have an intuition, please, please, please pay attention to it. Trust your gut. Don't brush it off. And with the sun in Taurus, the other part of this full moon this week is going to be all about your routines, your habits, and your health. So Pluto is in your 3rd house, creating this challenging angle to the full moon. It's going to be like, boom, dropping down the reality anchor kind of thing. So you might have this kind of like lost in space energy, but one of the big things that's going to be brought to your attention this week is when and where do you say you're going to do something, but you don't actually follow through. Maybe you have been saying for a really long time that you're going to make healthy choices. Maybe you've been saying for a really long time that you're going to quit drinking or quit smoking or you're going to eat healthy or whatever it is. What's coming through in your astrology this week is that there's something that you've been saying forever that you're going to do and you never actually did it. And this is like the analogy that I used in the general overview at the beginning of this video. You might want to go check it out, because what I was saying is that the full moon energy this week has the potential of like, if maybe your car is making like a tick, 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 tick noise and you're like, whatever, I'll take care of it later, and you just turn up the music. this would be the week that your engine blows or your tire pops or something like that. That could manifest for you guys as having some sort of health crisis. So let's say you've been saying forever that you're going to quit smoking. This could be the week that you develop bronchitis or pneumonia or something like that. And your doctor's like, Jesus, quit smoking. You know what I mean? None of us ever want to have to be in that position where this like issue is thrown in our face and we're like, deal with it now. I just want to give you guys a heads up. That's what's coming through for you guys, specifically in the context of health. Please do not ignore your health. Please do not brush off any health issues. And if you recognize that you genuinely are engaging in some sort of unhealthy or toxic habit, this would be the week to be like, I'm going to do it. I'm going to be accountable. I'm going to put my money where my mouth is. You know, if you've been thinking about quitting smoking, go stock up on the chewing gum. Put all of the supports into place so that you can do it, you can follow through, and then you can be proud of yourself at the end. So it's all about what you say versus what you actually follow through on. And you might have moments this week of the other part of it, the 6th house is also about not just health, but also like your daily routines, what you do for a day job. So this could also be a week of realizing that you always said that you were going to get some training, or you always said that you were going to quit your job, or you always said, you know what I mean? And finally this being the week of, okay, I'm going to do it. Okay, I'm going to ask my boss for a raise, or okay, I'm going to, you know, book that vacation or whatever it is. So you get a break from your day-to-day work. There's such power in your thoughts and intentions. We often don't really pay attention to that. But if you think about what a magic spell is, what happens when I'm writing? I'm spelling. We totally underestimate the significance and the power of not just the words that we speak, but also what we think and the intentions behind them. Like, we can tell everybody in the world that we're confident, we're brave and stuff like that. But if we talk like a bully to ourselves inside of our heads, that is the energy we project. And our words are never going to change that. People will always pick up on that energy. So something that needs to connect for you guys this week. If you're willing to face it, be accountable, take action on it, you're going to have an amazing week. You're going to be so proud of yourself. It's going to go really well. And if you go, no, it's fine, I'm just going to keep talking about it, but not actually take action, this could be the week where things just totally blow up in your face, forcing you to take action. So do kind of keep that in mind. But other than that, it's an awesome opportunity for you to really embrace follow through, embrace authenticity, and make choices that are really going to benefit you. So take care of yourself. I hope you guys have a wonderful week. If you enjoyed your horoscopes, please do like and subscribe. Maybe even share the video if you feel so inspired. And I'll see you guys next time. Thanks for being here. Capricorn, sun and rising. This week's full moon is activating some really happy areas of your chart. The full moon is going to be in your 11th house, which is all about all that makes life beautiful. Whether it is looking after people, like charity or social advocacy or anything like that, or it could be the things that make life beautiful, like art and music and transcendental moments where, like, wow, you know? You could have some really amazing, mind-blowing experiences. Thinking about concepts like life, death, rebirth, karma, stuff like that. But also an opportunity to kind of bring that down to earth. How can I put that into play? How can I make this concept or this idea or this philosophy, how can I make that real for me? And you might be noticing maybe the people that you're surrounded by talk about these lofty ideals, but don't actually do anything about it. And then the alternative is that you might realize that you talk all these lofty ideals and you might have either imposter syndrome or realizing, actually, I don't really follow through as much as I should or as much as I say I do. The theme is authenticity. The theme is emotional connections, and the theme is a desire for real, right? There are fake friends, and then there's like real friends. The ones that like show up for you when you're having a really hard time, right? And then the fake friends only want to hang out when life is good. These are the kind of like polarizations that you might really be tuning into this week. And you might be questioning whether or not the people around you are real or fake. Whether it's something they do, whether it's something they say, whether it's everything about them. You might have moments of kind of taking a step back and be like, And then also looking in the mirror and being like, am I real? Am I fake? So however that does come through for you, the key issue here is illustrated by the Pluto square. So the full moon is activating your 11th and 5th houses, bringing to mind play, joy, creativity, but also being an awesome human. You know what I mean? Looking out for other people, not being a jerk, being helpful, being charitable, being thoughtful, whatever form it takes, right? Living and breathing our ideals. And that's the full moon, but then anchoring it down is Pluto in your 2nd house, which is, are you putting your money where your mouth is? Are you demonstrating those ideals? Are you just judging other people for not living theirs? Or are you actualizing your potential? Are you walking your highest path? Are you embodying those ideals? So that's really the huge dynamic for you. Noticing realness, noticing fakeness, taking accountability, and also wanting to do something tangible in your reality to confirm or align or anchor to your values, to really lock that in. The breakthrough that happened for you guys Saturday, so like yesterday with the Jupiter-Uranus conjunction in your 5th house, there have been some amazing realizations about wanting to pursue freedom or wanting to live a life that is more according to your ideals. And so what could be coming through for you right now is having moments of being like, oh my God, all my friends are fake. I'm done. And like completely leaving a friend group. Or having moments of realizing that you are not walking your highest path and making some sort of sweeping changes in your life in order to realign and recalibrate and put things into motion the way that you know that you need to, right? So it's really important for you guys to feel as though you are surrounded by people that share your values. And so you may find yourself deep in thought. These might be huge realizations. They might be just things you kind of subtly notice. But it's going to be really important rather than, like, nobody wants to be told what to do, but people are really, really good at following an example. So for example, if you're out at a park or a beach or something like that, and as you're walking, you notice trash, you could walk right past it, or you could start picking it up and maybe kind of putting it in your bag or something to take to the nearest garbage can. I guarantee you, if you start doing that, the people that you're walking with are going to do it too. But if you started out by saying, I want everybody to pick up trash with me, they'd be like, what? But if you do it, people will mimic that. It's kind of funny. So that's what's coming through for you guys. It's not about what you say, it's all about what you do. But values are going to be the key thing for you. And so is joy. So is living authentically. So is expressing your creativity or feeling enriched by the creativity of others. So I hope you guys have a wonderful, wonderful week. Thank you for being here. And if you enjoyed your horoscopes, please do like and subscribe so that you're kept up to date with all my videos. And if you feel inspired to, please share these videos so that other people can get a little message too. I'll see you guys next time. Thanks for being here. Bye. Aquarius sun and rising. You guys are having your 10th and 4th houses activated by this full moon. Full moon in Scorpio this week on Tuesday is bringing a high level of emotional intensity. The 10th house, where the moon is going to be a peak of emotions when it comes to your long-term plans, your career, or something that you think or thought was stable moving forwards. Like a plan, a pathway that you're walking, or an end goal that you're working to achieve. The sun in Taurus is going to be shining a light on whether or not you have the ingredients, the tools, or the fuel to get down that path the way that you want to. it is going to be a time of kind of maybe reassessing your finances, thinking about whether or not you have the emotional capacity to do what you want to do. And then maybe even having moments of emotion of being like, this is not what I want to do at all. Maybe even thinking about quitting your job. This could be the week where you just have an emotional moment and you're like, I'm leaving. Like that famous quitting scene from that movie. Your core need that is fueling the desire for change, your core need is to feel as though your feelings matter and to feel as though that you have a life that supports emotional stability. And if your life is crazy, chaotic, unpredictable, those are going to be the things that are like sticking out like a sore thumb right now. Not everything is within our power. We cannot control other people, but we can control our interactions with other people. We can limit those interactions. We can change how we respond. There's a lot of different ways to do it, but the realizations that are going to come through for you are all about what part you play. Because Pluto is in your first house of I am, I think, I say, I do. So even if in the past it's been easy to be like, well, things are crazy because of them, or things are crazy because of this, or man, but, pointing an outward finger. Not that you were necessarily wrong. I mean, a lot of that is valid, but all the attention and energy this week is like, okay, what can I do about it? I can either choose it or change it. I can either be a part of the solution or I can be part of why this sucks or is falling apart. On the other hand, though, you cannot necessarily single-handedly fix everything. If you have somebody in your life or situations in your life that are genuinely toxic, genuinely unhealthy, then that calls for a higher level of problem solving or a higher level of boundary setting. And of course, only you know the answer to that. But what I'm trying to share is just that the huge key breakthrough for you guys this week is going to just be about, number one, how important your feelings are, and number two, how important your role is in the situation. Like, for example, as a parent, we can complain, oh, my child is not doing the thing. Well, then the child development specialist is like, well, are you doing the thing for your child? Well, yeah, because they don't do it. If your child knows that if they don't do it, you're going to do it for them, why would they even do it? So it's easy to say, oh, my child's not doing the thing, or my coworker, or my roommate, or whatever it is. But it's all about precedent. It's all about what people know to expect from us. It's all about whether or not we are overstepping our boundaries or doing things for other people and therefore removing the reason for them to do it themselves. That's kind of what I'm trying to bring your awareness into. And of course, everybody's experience is going to be different. Not everything I say is going to apply specifically to your situation, but these are the themes that we're looking at. And this is why personal accountability and just humble honesty is going to be really important. I can't look at just one tiny piece of the puzzle. We have to look at the bigger picture. We have to look at the sequence of events, all of the players involved, right? Obviously, none of these things are going to be quick fixes or simple solutions, but the breakthrough for you is going to be, how am I personally perpetuating this or continuing this? We're either choosing it or changing it, right? And then once that emotional stability piece is sorted out, then the path moving forwards is going to make itself clear. So I hope you guys have an amazing week. Lots to learn, lots to grow from. Don't be afraid. Face the reality. There's a lot to teach you. I hope you guys have an amazing week. If you enjoyed your horoscopes, please do like and subscribe. Maybe even share if you feel so inspired. And I'll see you guys next week. Bye. Pisces, sun and rising. The full moon this week, activating the Taurus and Scorpio axis, is activating your 9th and 3rd houses. Your 9th house is about what you believe, and your 3rd house is like what you speak. The 9th house represents opportunities to expand what we believe, to change what we believe, to allow new information to come in, new perspectives to come in, maybe to try something new or pursue that knowledge ourselves. It's philosophy, it's spiritual growth, it's travel, it's thinking outside of the box. And with the full moon in Scorpio, what it's going to bring you guys this week as some sort of emotional catalyst that is going to cause you to think, I want more. I want to know more. I want to understand more. I want to grow more. The emotions that you experience this week are going to bring something to a head that either brings you a higher level of understanding or compels you to seek a higher level of understanding. And with the sun in Taurus, there's an energy of grounded and safe energy in the context of conversations. The third house is our inner circle, maybe our siblings, maybe our close friends. It's the people that we're going to talk to. It's people we're going to have a conversation, like a real conversation with, right? And so sometimes, especially in situations like this, these new ideas are born from conversations. Or we realize that we've got a missing piece of the puzzle, or we want to understand something, or we want to grow with our understanding. And so in reaching out, somebody's like, oh, you should go look this up, or oh, you should go take this class, or oh, I know exactly what book is going to give you that information, right? So crowdsourcing, but on a smaller level. Having some intimate conversations that are going to expand your awareness, help you kind of see the bigger picture, or maybe even, you know, one of the really important things is be willing to change your mind about something, because this full moon is going to be anchored by this really tough square angle to Pluto, which is shadow, darkness, power, control. And it's in your 12th house of mystery and the unknown. So you may experience a personal like glass ceiling where you're like, I feel like I'm up against something, but I don't know what's holding me back. I don't know what's blocking me. And so in the context of safe conversations, you could unlock something. You could really tap into that Pluto energy and be like, okay, I want to dive into this mystery. I want to explore the depths of my soul or the depths of my understanding. I want to get into the nooks and crannies and the dark corners of my mind and start clearing out some skeletons from these closets, right? With the end result being, I have freed my mind. I have released old and unhealthy habits. I have opened the door to a higher level of personal living and personal expression because I was willing to do this shadow work. So this week for you guys, it's all about aha moments. And those aha moments quite likely are not just going to be for you, but it could be in the context of the conversation where both you guys go, whoa, oh my God, I never thought of it that way. That changes everything. So definitely, I know you guys have been kind of struggling with the desire to self-isolate and just conserve your energy lately. I get it, but in this week's astrology, you're being invited to step out of your comfort zone, have some of those really interesting conversations, because amazing breakthroughs and possibilities are going to be born as a result of that which is shared and discussed. So I hope you guys have an amazing week. The full moon in Scorpio is going to be a helpful influence for you because it is another water sign. You may not necessarily initially know what it's leading to, but if you just go with the flow, all things will become clear in time. So if you enjoyed your horoscopes, please do like and subscribe, share if you feel so inclined. Thank you so much for being here, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye.